And then she runs into the playroom and does her business.
Okay. And does she typically do it? Does she typically do it after you leave the house? Like as far as having the accident in the house?
Well, I don't leave the house, but I go upstairs.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's typical. Okay. And do you have any idea about how long after you go upstairs to work that she does it?
It's like 5 minutes.
Literally like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So here would be my recommendation, right? Whenever you hit a point where you're like, all right, I gotta go upstairs, I gotta start working, right?
Yeah.
You have kind of two options, right? So option one would be just take her up with you for a couple minutes, right? And then have her on the leash next to you so she can't sneak off or anything. And in 20, 30 minutes, run her outside one more time, see if she's got to go, you know? Option two, stick her in the crate and instruct whoever it is that's watching her. In 30 minutes, you got to take her outside, and she cannot be out of this crate until she goes outside.
Okay.
Right? So basically we're teaching the concept of she is earning her freedom out in the house by going outside, right? Because the crate is cool because obviously, typically speaking, dogs won't go in it, right? So that's our best potty training tool that we have, you know? So one of those things, because it's happening very shortly after, which means that she's got to go, right? The problem is she's just waiting for that opportunity that she could sneak off and go do it over there. And you're doing a really good job of being diligent about keeping the eyes on her so she can't do that. The problem is once you kind of go upstairs, you know, the supervision isn't as good, right? So, which is fine, I get it, right? Everybody else has got other things they need to do, I'm sure, right? So that's where we got to use the crate to our advantage, right? If she hasn't gone at that point yet, you got to go in here until you go, you know?
Also, one of the other things we've noticed is that she's barking a lot more, with like people coming in the house that she didn't used to.
Yep.
And it's like, sometimes it's family members that she knows.
Yep.
So, but also we've had some like landscapers over and like service to our house outside that she'll start barking at people, which I don't care about that. The people coming in the house, it just seems to be like a new thing.
Yep. Does it persist a lot? Like the person come in and is like yapping for 5 minutes or like?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, and then she'll like kind of warm up, so it's not like incessant, like it doesn't stop.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. So ultimately, things like that, those are going to be discipline-based things, right? So a lot of times what I'll do with those types of things is I figure out what is my dog motivated by as far as a consequence, right? Because we need to start being able to apply consequence for these types of things. And one thing you said, like with the landscapers and stuff, you don't care if she's barking at those things. I would nix all of it, because if you allow it certain places and then correct for it in other places, it becomes confusing to them, you know? And I'm just not a believer in general that my dog needs to be like being defensive over anything on the property. You know what I mean? Especially not a dog her size, right? She's not our guard dog, unfortunately. So I would correct for it everywhere that you see it. And you have a couple different options, right? So your leash and prong collar, right? Let's say we saw her yipping, yapping at something like that, like we have a guest coming over. I could tell her no and give a firm pop on that, and that could be a deterrent. Have we ever talked about the pet corrector?
Yeah, we have it.
Oh, you do?
Because she was doing all the mouthing.
Yep. And you said that worked pretty quick for that, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. I would start implementing the pet corrector for it.
Okay.
Same concept, right? Let's say the pet corrector is sitting over there, right? And she starts freaking out because somebody walks in the door. Tell her no. Go get your pet corrector, right? Go find her. Give a spray for it, right?
Even if she's done?
Yep, because our no marker attaches our consequence to our behavior, right? Because you're not going to have that thing in your hand at all times. And the problem is we don't want to bluff our no's, right? We don't want to just interrupt the behavior. We want the behavior to go away, right? So if we say no and she stops because she knows typically this correction comes after, that's bluffing our no, and that's just interrupting the behavior. That's not doing anything to say next time don't do it, because the consequence does still come, you know?
That makes sense.
So.
When I was training her this past week, I will say that the bed thing was not going very well.
Sure.
So she's got her crate, but then we also have another like bed in the living room.
Yep.
And I purposely didn't move it so that it was in the same spot that it normally is.
Yep.
And she was like really hesitant to like jump up on it. It's not like a...
I got you.
It's like a cushion now.
Just a plush one.
Yeah. And I got her on it, but she was fighting it like every single time.
Okay, I gotcha. All right, well, so the barking, stuff like that, you're gonna address it with the pet corrector.
Yep.
The potty stuff, you just gotta use the crate until she goes,
Yep.
right? And that should seal the deal. Is it primarily just in the morning you have the problem?
Not really, no. I mean, that's usually when she goes.
Okay,
And she doesn't seem to go later in the day, so.
okay.
And we're all pretty good about getting her out to pee. So that has been really good. Like,
Yep.
I haven't noticed many accidents at all. And
Yep.
it's so bad. It's just the other one.
Well, here's the thing. If we're assuming she's going 2 times a day, right, with it, if we can get that morning one in check, that's going to at least start to shape the habit,
Yeah.
right? Then you would apply the same concept in the evening after you fed her dinner, right? So once you feed her dinner, again, take a mental note how long it was breakfast, from breakfast time to when she goes outside typically is it,
Yeah.
say 45 minutes, an hour, whatever. And at that point, after you feed your breakfast, you guys can hang out with her and stuff, but if you can't supervise her, she's got to go in the crate until she goes outside, right?
That's cool.
And that will help with that. So, okay, cool. Let's see what we can get here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Can't go back to dad. Yeah, this is much better.
Yeah.
Good job. Come on.
I had kind of mixed results with the sit. Like, I still had to kind of
Yep.
a bit, but
We're not fully expecting she's going to respond to verbal just yet here. I just want to see all the leash pressure smooth, you know? If I need to get her in position, that it doesn't take a ton of pressure to get her to get into it. Nice. Come on. Good job. Come on. Good. Come on. Very good. So any sort of little hurdles like this we could find, something she's scared of that we kind of work her past. These are great confidence building exercises. Saw how resistant she was of it, and then she's like, oh wow, I can do this, right? Come on. And then in some cases it starts to kind of become like a game to them.
yeah.
Nice. One more, come on. Nice. I mean, you see total difference, obviously. Okay, so what we're gonna do next here is we're gonna start generalizing this, so I'm gonna work the same drill just on this bed. So I'll take the leash. Come on. Bed. Good. Now it's a huge jump. Huge jump. Good. And you can tell that mark's starting to condition itself because the second she hears it, it's kind of snapping her to attention in prediction of the reward, which is exactly what we want, right? That way we could use it to stabilize that position further. You know, if she, like I said, if she seems really distracted by something over there, but she does it correctly, I can mark right away, and that'll solidify in her mind that she's doing the correct thing. Good. Good. different distractions in. Good. Good. Obviously something like this is going to be a lot harder for her, so just I'm increasing the frequency of those rewards. Good. It's like, what the heck is that thing? Good. Good. Okay. Come on. Let's go. So last thing I want to do with her here, so I want to start to get her acclimated to having her nails messed with and stuff. They're looking pretty long and sharp here, and we haven't done any handling stuff, so we're going to do a little bit of that here. Doing pretty good, girl. Come on. Let's go. So pretty straightforward for this. All I want to do is just get her used to having her paws kind of restrained. You could tell, obviously, she doesn't like it a whole lot right off the rip. So we're just going to kind of do it. I try to just let them work through some of this nonsense initially. And again, back to what we talked about a couple sessions ago with the resorting to the biting, you know. These are all really, really important lessons for them to work through at a young age when it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Good. And once she does well with it, again, we'd mark with good and reward. Same deal, grabbing the paw, restraining, letting her work through some of this nonsense initially. Good. Once she stops, that's where we mark with good. And I start off just like this, seeing how much of this I could work through just doing this type of drill, right? If it continues to persist, obviously we would add in a correction for that, but sometimes you can get away with just kind of waiting them out. Good. There you go. It wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. So next session, we'll work a little more with that. Obviously, if she keeps with the biting, we'll just correct for it, no big deal. But she's de-escalating a little bit with it. A lot of this is just, she's just the first time she's getting used to some of this handling, you know. A lot of people will do like, they'll be like, oh yeah, well I touched their paws or this or that. And I always say it's not so much about touching the paws, it's really the restraining, you know. It's like when they start feeling that they're trapped, that's when they start kind of really escalating with that. So just kind of getting her used to that little by little, just like we're doing here now. And you see she's starting to kind of inhibit that behavior just a little bit.
Yeah, I loathe trimming dogs' nails.
It's a pain in the ass.
I've never been good at it. We always had the vet do it. And
yeah.
The last visit she had to the vet, we had her do it, which was only a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. They grow quite a bit when they're young like this, so. The only thing you got to be careful about with having them done at the vet in some cases is that because that's not obviously the vet's primary job, right? A lot of times when owners like ask the vet like, hey, can you trim the nails? They just try to get it done as quick as they can, obviously, you know? And what happens is they could rush the process a little bit. If they accidentally cut one of them too short, it'll totally derail you and stuff. So I would like to get her to a place where either you guys can do them yourselves, or you could just have like the groomer or something like that do them, where it's going to make sure that we're moving her in the right direction. Yeah, and listen, once we get her to a place where it's going to be really easy with it, it'll take you just a minute or so, you know, because really this is the next step, is starting to get her used to that, you know.
Yeah.
I know, it's awful, it's so scary. Okay, you're good. She looks great though. That was like 10,000 times better than even last time. She looks really good. Her attitude is starting to get much better with things, so I'm pretty pleased with all of that.